Hey nerds, welcome to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Theories and Conspiracies. I'm Brian from Good Nerd Bad Nerd. This episode was, I have to say it was outstanding. Mainly from a theory perspective because of the little things we got that to me just tell a bigger picture, and I'm very excited for that. Let's just get into it. So first, the General, with his Peter Pan shadow ability where his shadow could come to life. He's not based on anyone in the comics, not that I can tell anyway. He's not a known Dark Force user, so he's just kind of a one-off character. Now, but the use of Dark Force, and this is kind of a thing that I know a lot of people have issue with, is that Dark Force is just becoming a kind of a catch-all for any time a character has energy-based powers. They're like, oh, it's Dark Force. My fear is they're going to overuse it, but we'll see. I feel like they didn't necessarily need to explain it was Dark Force, and could have just been somehow he makes psychic projections of his shadow. I think that would have been fine. I'm worried they're going to overuse Dark Force. Now, last week I said that there was a very strong possibility the show is moving towards a Hydra, Leviathan, S.H.I.E.L.D. three-way war. I think that's still possible, especially with the kind of conflict between the president and the prime minister of Russia and all this talk. And even Coulson said they were on the verge of a superpowered Cold War. This is easily leading towards this three-way battle, and I think we will see Leviathan. I think we're going to see the modern version of them, and they're going to be pretty intimidating, and I honestly think that's why the Prime Minister was against this inhuman kind of enclave, because while he definitely wants Inhumans, he wants them in his camp, in his army, and he's probably going to be connected to Leviathan, where this general was just out for his own and was probably just KGB, wasn't necessarily associated with Leviathan. So that's what I think is going on there. Now, the next part of this, though, Most Wanted. This is the spin-off series that Bobby and Hunter are going to be launching into. This episode was a backdoor pilot for them. I think there's two things that are possible with this show. One, Most Wanted can mean two things. Everyone assumes it means Bobby and Hunter are going to be hunting criminals. They're going to be going after kind of the big bads on S.H.I.E.L.D.'s list. Not necessarily for S.H.I.E.L.D., but they're going to kind of be doing it vigilante style. That's one possibility, but I think it's just as likely that we're going to get a fugitive style show where Bobby and Hunter are on the run. Not necessarily from the U.S. government, but from other agencies, from other groups. And I think it's a really strong possibility that that group that's specifically targeting them is going to be Leviathan. I think Most Wanted is going to focus on Bobby and Hunter taking down Leviathan or gathering intel and fighting Leviathan while S.H.I.E.L.D. is battling Hydra. Then at the very end, we're going to get some crossover episodes, kind of like they do with Arrow and Flash, but we're going to get some crossover episodes that team up Most Wanted and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to take down Hydra and Leviathan. That's where I think this is going. We're going to have an epic three-way battle, and that would make a lot of sense as far as a storytelling perspective, because you can get more of the groundwork laid, and your ultimate climax fight can be bigger and a larger scale if you're spreading it over two shows. So that's what I think is going on there. Now, the last thing of the episode, and this is the one I think is the coolest, and a lot of people may think it's a stretch, but in that final shot at the very end where we meet Gideon Malik's daughter, Stephanie, I think Stephanie is going to be Madam Hydra. They're going to call her Madam Hydra. They're not going to call her Viper, which is one of the names she's gone by. The character's name in the comics is Ophelia Sarkeesian, and she is a very dangerous character. She's got a very long history with Hydra. She's been Madam Viper at times, Madam Hydra at times, Viper. Had a few different names. She's got a very long history with Wolverine. Sadly, that won't come into play here, but she's got a long history with Madripoor and a lot of other kind of big locations and interactions with the Avengers and Captain America and stuff like that. The reason I think this could be her is, so when Hydra decided to go in a more aggressive direction towards world domination, none of this kind of subtle behind-the-scenes stuff, she was meeting with the heads of Hydra at the time. And that list, you had Baron von Strucker, who's dead, but we still know that his son is comatose, and there's possibly the twins, the Strucker twins still out there. Then you had the character who went by the name Kraken, who was actually Daniel Whitehall, who is dead. Then we have Hive, who we know is still alive. Gorgon, who, if you remember my theory from last week, may have just joined the team. And then there was the current Madam Hydra at the time. Now, all of these characters are seemingly familiar. The part that's interesting is the Madam Hydra of the time was a traitor, and she was actually working for Leviathan. She kidnapped Gorgon and Viper, or Ophelia, and as a gift to Leviathan, among other things, she shot Viper in the head. Now, a few hours later, when Hydra storms that Leviathan base, Hive basically resurrects Viper. He sends some spores onto her, and she comes back with this kind of octopus thing on her head. So, based on the fact that we know she's big into Hydra, we know she's got this weird, it seems like she's infatuated or obsessed with Hive and who he is, and I think there's going to be some weird kind of chemistry there. She's going to die, but Hive is going to bring her back, and that's why I'm really confident that she's going to be Madam Hydra. Now, it's important to know, she eventually did have the Hive spores and the kind of octopus thing on her head removed, which does bring hope for what a lot of people are asking, is if Hive can be removed from Ward. So, I think this is a very big possibility. I think it's the most likely character she can be from the comics. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the notes below what you think, and if you're excited for a possible three-way war between Leviathan, Hydra, and S.H.I.E.L.D. So, until next week, I'm Brian from Good Nerd Bad Nerd, and this has been Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Theories and Conspiracies.